Cleveland Indians, a proud organization that's been around since the start of the Major League Baseball season in 1901. Once called the Naps and the Blues, Cleveland has been known for great baseball teams and massive failures. Cleveland has only known joy in a World Series twice, 1920 against the Brooklyn Dodgers and 1948 against the Boston Braves. Cleveland has had a lot of eager beavers and great chances to win the World Series but have choked. In 1954, the Cleveland Indians went to the final against the New York Giants and were expected to do well. 111 wins, beating the New York Yankees by 8 games, and having a great pitching staff that had veterans such as Bob Lemon and Early Wynn and Robert Fowler. This was amazing. However, Cleveland was spooked in Game 1 at the Polo Grounds when Willie Mays made a spectacular catch in center field off of a Vic Wertz 450-foot drive. Now, bear in mind, the Polo Grounds center field is like 463 feet. So obviously, it's not like the uniform 400 feet in baseball today. And Dusty Rhodes, not the wrestler, but a player who played for the New York Giants, hit a pinch hit home run for the New York Giants to win the World Series. And surprisingly, the Giants used that momentum to beat Cleveland. Not just win the World Series, but to sweep these guys. Cleveland would have a lot of pain and all that, especially in the 60s and 70s and 80s when they couldn't get anything right. But a new era started in 1994. Although the Indians were in a fight with the Chi Sox for tops in the AL Central, the newly formed AL Central with only 5 teams in 1994, their time ran out because of the players' strike. However, the 95 season was a year of unbridled joy for the Cleveland Indians. 100 wins in 144 games. If we do the half and half system, like I do, 162 games, there were 18 fewer games. If we go half, even half, Cleveland would have won 109, which is just above 2/3, two wins out of every 3 games. Cleveland was unstoppable. They had a very potent offense. Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, Albert Bell, Matt Williams, Omar Vizquel, Kenny Lofton, just to name a few. Unfortunately, Cleveland fell flat in the World Series when it counted the most, losing 1-0 in Game 6 to a David Justice home run, and giving the team of the 90s, the Braves, and world title. It would have been amazing to see Cleveland knock Atlanta flat in the 95 World Series and see Atlanta go through the 90s without any titles. So that was a prudent move. But 2 years later, they got to the World Series and met the Florida Marlins. No problem, they could beat the Marlins. But the Marlins used a wallet-sized team. They bought the World Series in a sense. Wayne Huizenga bought the World Series and bought some key talent players. One player he didn't buy was Livan Hernandez, who defected from Cuba with his brother Orlando. So Livan Hernandez and his 15 NLCS strikeouts in one game led the Marlins to shock the Braves and go to the World Series against the Indians. Even the cold couldn't stop Florida, as Florida managed to win 2 games and made it 3-2. Indians won Game 6 to force a Game 7, and that Game 7 was legendary. Not just because Jose Mesa, who was usually a reliable closer, fouled it all up and gave the Marlins the timer in the ninth, but also Tony Fernandez with a rare error. He's a very good shortstop and all that, but he was playing second base and he flubbed it all up. Bear in mind, this is the same Tony Fernandez who actually got the game-winning home run in Game 6 of the ALCS against the Orioles that year. So Cleveland lost in Game 7 to Edgar Renteria's base hit single. But you didn't know Edgar Renteria was a Marlin. We all know about his prowess with the Boston Red Sox. Was that him? Oh, no, sorry. That was Orlando Cabrera. I think it was Renteria with Boston. But anyhow, Cleveland choked in the 97 playoffs. Cleveland had a few ifs, ands, or buts playoff runs. 2016 was their ultimate. They had some great young talent, some great pitching, and they stormed through the AL playoffs easily. Of course, knocking over my Toronto Blue Jays in the process. But at least the Jays didn't get swept. Cleveland now had to face the Chicago Cubs, and the weird thing is Cleveland and the Cubs both they had the number one and number two longest World Series droughts of all time. So what are you gonna do about it? Someone has to win. It's kind of like Red Sox Cubs in 2003. Someone has to win. And the Indians were up 3-1, winning 2 key games at Wrigley Field. And they were looking to put the kibosh on the Cubs, but they failed in games 5, 6, and they nearly did in game 7. They won. They were taking things, but the Cubs were that desperate. Of course, the Indians now have the longest World Series drought in history with 70 years. Of course, I don't say 71 because the playoffs are coming up, and this is being recorded in August 2019. Now, obviously, the Cutter rule is that if I do a what if, the team cannot have made the finals. So, for prosperity's sake, the 95, 97, and 2016 Indians could not be picked. But what people forget is that the year after was 2017 when the Cleveland Indians looked very hostile, and they looked good. Heck, they had a 22-game winning streak, the second longest in Major League history. And what happened? Well, they had a great LDS start against the Yankees, winning 2 games, punctuated by Francisco Lindor's grand slam that made Matt Scherzer say Santa Maria on the MLB Network broadcast. Unfortunately, the Yankees won games 3 and 4 at home, like they normally do. And then game 5, Sir Didi Gregorius came up with 2 big home runs. One of the best postseason efforts for a guy who doesn't really hit a lot of home runs. And the reason why he's called Sir Didi is because when he played for Curacao, or the Netherlands in the World Baseball Classic, he did so well that the head leader of Curacao made him a Knight of the Order of Holland. So that's why he's called Sir Didi. So the 22-game winning streak was not enough for Cleveland to make the World Series. Heck, they didn't even make the LCS. They lost the first hurdle to the Yankees. Of course, Cleveland got the last laugh as the Yankees ended up losing to the Astros in 7 games in that 2000. The Yankees lost the 2017 LCS. And Houston had the extra home game, and the Yankees couldn't do what they did to Cleveland. So basically, what we're using is the playoff runs. Now, Cleveland will play Houston. Cleveland was the 1 seed in the AL playoffs. They beat number 4 Yankees. So Cleveland would play Houston. Cleveland will have home field advantage for games 1, 2, 6, and 7 because, baseball does the 2-3-2 rule in effect. Now, the National League playoffs will not be affected at all because, for all we know, we don't want to screw that up. So Los Angeles is still in the World Series. So the winner of Cleveland-Houston will take on Los Angeles. If Cleveland shocks Houston, we will be doing another part of this because Cleveland will have to play Los Angeles in the World Series. However, if Houston does win the LCS, then it doesn't matter because then Houston will be gifted the 2017 World Series against Los Angeles, like in real life. So bear in mind, Houston's lineups are based on, especially their starters, are based off the real LCS, whereas Cleveland will have to grin and bear it. So hope you like it and enjoy. Time to enjoy the 2017 ALCS as major attended it. Houston, Cleveland. Both teams with 100 wins. Cleveland with just that 1 extra win. Houston used Dallas Keuchel to start the ALCS and will take on Corey Kluber, who will be ready, willing, and able to see what things happen. And first of all, Houston jumps to a 10-6 win in Game 1. Nothing much happening to the bottom of the first when Jose Ramirez hit an RBI to score Austin Jackson. All of a sudden, you're going to be enjoying yourself. 1-0, but Altuve with an RBI single to score Bregman in the third made it 1-1. But in the bottom of the third, Lonnie Chiselhall with a ground ball single to score Jackson, whereas Edwin Encarnacion gets an RBI. Boy, Toronto wishes they never got rid of him. Jose Ramirez scored 3-1. It would stay that way till the top of the 5th when George Springer knocked one in center field to tie it at 3, and then Carlos Correa with a double to left center to score Josh Reddick. Indians would tie with Encarnacion's bloop single to score Chisenhall. But then Alex Bregman comes in with a 2-run home run, 6-4. At 6-4, it stayed that way to the 8th when Jose Altuve hits a RBI double that scores Josh Reddick. But the Indians don't give up. Michael Brantley hit a home run to make it 7-5, and then Laurie Chisenhall hit a bloop single to score out Jackson, 7-6. But the backbreaker was Beltran hitting a 2-run home run to right center to make it 9-6, and then Josh Reddick picks up an RBI single, 10-6. Houston, your final score in Game 1. See the Houston stuff. Springer with a pair of RBIs, Reddick with 1, Altuve with 2, Correa with 1, Beltran with 2, Bregman with 2. Keiko with 6 innings of work. Davinsky came in, and Luke Gregerson came in for the save, an inning and a third. Brantley, Ramirez, Chisenhall with 2, Encarnacion with 2, the RBIs for the Indians. Corey Kluber went 6 innings, couldn't do anything. Andrew Miller, Brian Shaw, Nick Goody, and Zach McAllister couldn't do anything either. So, can do that. Because you gotta check. So, fair trade. So now Houston goes into Game 2. Justin Verlander pitched Game 2 in real life. He will pitch against Trevor Bauer. He is hoping that his finger, which was in a drone accident last year, actually works. And it works somehow, but Houston crumps a 12-4 win on Cleveland. Nothing doing until the second inning when Marvin Gonzalez hit it. Solo home run to make it 1-0. Carlos Correa with a line drive single into right center to make it 2-0. And then Beltran with another home run. Josh Reddick with a RBI single, 4-0. Cleveland really falling by the wayside early. It stayed that way to the 6th when George Springer hit an RBI single, and then Lindor boots a grounder, which scores Brian McCann. 6-0 Houston. Cleveland has a bit of a bright spot. Chisenhall hits a home run to center to make it 6-1. But then Marvin Gonzalez hit an infield single to score Josh Reddick to make it 7-1. And then Houston put up 5 in the 9th. McCann with an RBI single. Josh Reddick with a 2-run home run. Carlos Correa even puts a 2-run home run on the board. 12-1, the game was pretty much over. The fans left. But they missed out on Francisco Lindor's RBI single and Jason Kipnis' 2-run double. 12-4 your score, Houston. Springer with an RBI, Reddick with 3, Correa with 3, Marvin Gonzalez with 2, Beltran and McCann had 1. Verlander won 8 innings. So enough was enough. James Hoyt was the guy who gave up those runs, and then David Polino came in. Cleveland, not much there. Chisenhall, Lindor, Kipnis with RBIs. Trevor Bauer only went 5 innings, and Andrew Miller, Danny Salazar, Daniel Terrell, and Zach McAllister. On to Game 3. Cleveland heads in Houston down 2-0 and has to play 3 games in Houston. Carlos Carrasco gets to start. Charlie Morton started Game 3 of the LCS in real life, so he'll get his time. And Houston looks good. They went 8-4. The final score. Houston comes through in the bottom of the 3rd. George Springer with a ground ball single to left. McCann slides in under a tag to try to get him out, but Reddick with a fielder's choice make it 2, and then Carlos Correa with a base hit, 3-0 Houston. Carlos Beltran, then in the bottom of the 4th, hits a line drive to left field that easily clears the deck of, the Crawford boxes, 4-0. Houston would add on to lead in the bottom of the 5th. Carlos Correa with an RBI double. Marlon Gonzalez with a big double, and Yuri Gurriel with line drive double. So basically, Cleveland with no hope. Down 7-0. Yuri does it again, 8-0 Houston. They had taken 8-0 lead to the top of the 9th. Encarnacion hits a sac fly. Carlos Santana got an RBI double to score Chisenhall, but then Marlon Gonzalez makes a bad throw and Lindor scores to make it 8-3. Yan Gomez with a big base hit. Unfortunately, Cleveland couldn't do anything else. So Carlos Santana, 2 RBIs, Yan Gomes and Edwin with 1. Carrasco only lasts 4 2/3. Zach McAllister and Danny Salazar were good bullpen help, but too little too late. Beltran with a home run. Springer with an RBI, Reddick with 1, Correa with 2, Gonzalez with 1, Gurriel with 2, Beltran with 1. Morton goes 7 innings, and then they leave James Hoyt, David Polino, and Chris Stavinsky to mop it up. Catch game 4. Who started? Was McCullers. Well, down 3-0, Cleveland makes a gamble. They go with Kluber because they have nothing else better to do. Lance McCullers starts for Houston. Houston can kind of lay off, but I think they want the sweep of Cleveland. And sweep they did. The 2017 Astros sweep the Cleveland Indians. So Cleveland's Game 5 win over the Yankees was for nothing. They tired themselves up, and that 22-game winning streak gone in the wind. 4-1. Carlos Correa with an RBI single to make it 1-0 in the first. Nothing else till the 8th when Yan Gomez hits a home run. Great job by Cleveland getting some runs, 1-1. And then in the 8th, Carlos Correa with an RBI double, scored out 2. Gurriel with an RBI single to score Correa, and Beltran with a big hit himself. 4-1 is your score. Indians have runners on first and second, but Jason Kipnis flew out. Cleveland gets swept by the Astros. And for the 3rd consecutive time, this what if does not help anybody out. Except the Astros, who then win the World Series against the LA Dodgers. Corey Kluber went 6 innings. It wasn't his fault, technically. It was Andrew Miller's fault. And Brian Shaw couldn't do anything. Man, that bullpen in 2017 was not as good as the 2016 team. Chris Stavinsky ends up getting the win. He blew a save, but he won the game. Ken Giles, now Blue Jay, gets the save, and that sends the Astros to the World Series. Fantastic. So that is all for now. Stay tuned for another What If, and hopefully it'll be a longer one.